Hi there, I'm Jennifer from my-colorado-kitchen.com, where I bring from scratch recipes straight from my Colorado kitchen to yours. Today we are going to make some sourdough einkorn blueberry muffins. These muffins are my family's absolute favorite breakfast right now. I get asked to make them at least weekly. They are soft, they are fluffy, they are moist, bursting with blueberry flavor. You will love them too, I promise. So it uses sourdough discard and then einkorn flour, and I think both are super important for this recipe. It helps with digestion, it helps to allow the nutrients to get into our bodies better, and I think overall it just adds to the wonderful flavor of these muffins. So let's get started. First thing we need to do is we need to get a mixer, and we're gonna put our whisk attachment on our mixer. Then we're going to add 3 eggs to our mixing bowl here. We're going to mix that up. Once those eggs are mixed, we're going to add 1 cup of sugar to the bowl. And then we're gonna whip that until it gets really nice, light, and fluffy. It takes about 4 minutes. All right, and once that mixer is done mixing our sugar and eggs together, it's going to be a pale yellow color, so you can kind of see there. And it's just a little fluffier and nicely mixed. We're gonna just set that aside, and then we're going to mix up our dry ingredients. All right, so for our dry ingredients, we are going to need the einkorn flour, we're gonna need baking powder, we're gonna need baking soda, and some salt. So we're gonna first start with our einkorn flour. So this flour is the brand that I get. It's the Jovial brand. Honestly, I found it to be the least expensive on Thrive Market. So I can put a link to Thrive Market down in the description below, and then you can check out that. I've also seen it at Whole Foods. You can get it on Amazon as well. So the Jovial brand is great. If you have a different brand you love, fantastic. Definitely use that. So we're going to add 2 3/4 cup of the einkorn flour. Next, we're gonna add a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. We're gonna do a 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda. And then we're going to do 2 teaspoons of baking powder. We're just gonna mix that all together. And once these dry ingredients are all mixed, we're going to add them to our egg and sugar mixture in our mixing bowl here. You're gonna wanna just use a spatula, and you're gently gonna fold it together to incorporate those dry ingredients into that sugar egg mixture. Einkorn flour does not absorb liquid, is the same as regular all-purpose flour. It is a non-hybridized wheat that has been around for a long time, making it have better nutrients so that our body can absorb a lot better. So once we have that all incorporated there, we're going to set it aside again, and we're gonna mix up our wet ingredients. To mix up our wet ingredients, we need 10 tablespoons of melted butter, which I already melted in my dish here. We're going to add 1 cup of Greek yogurt. We're going to add 1/4 cup of milk, so I already measured that out. We need to add 1/2 cup of sourdough starter. So this can be discard starter or it can be active starter, whatever you have. At this point, I have a ton of discard starter, you can see, so we're just gonna use discard starter for this. So the sourdough in this recipe will help to ferment. Even though it is not fermented a long period of time, it's still going to help unlock those nutrients in the flour, and it's just gonna help with the digestibility of these muffins as well. After we added all of our wet ingredients, we're going to stir this together using a whisk. This part's really important, is to just make sure everything's incorporated nicely together, as you don't want clumps of starter or clumps of yogurt running around in your muffins. So we're gonna try and get this as nicely incorporated together as possible. And once we've got that all mixed up, we're going to add our wet ingredients into our first bowl that we have the dry ingredients and the eggs and the sugar in. Then we're gonna mix that all together. It might take it a minute to just come together as one batter, but I promise you it will. All right, and once our batter is nicely incorporated, we need to get our blueberries ready. I like to use frozen blueberries as I feel like they're just a little bit less expensive than buying the fresh blueberries. We're gonna use about 2.5 cups of those. We're gonna put them in a mixing bowl. I'm just gonna reuse my dry ingredient mixing bowl. And we need to add a teaspoon of the einkorn flour just to coat those blueberries. This will help so that they won't sink all to the bottom of our blueberry muffins. We'll get that flour coating our blueberries. Then we're gonna add our blueberries into our batter. We're gonna stir those blueberries in. All right, after our blueberries are all stirred in, we need to put our batter into our muffin tin. You'll want to make sure that your oven is preheated to 425 degrees. I like to use a cookie scoop or an ice cream scoop for these, and it's the 3 tablespoon amount. I feel like it's way faster than trying to do it any other way. All right, and then our last step before we bake is we need to put the turbinado sugar over the top. So this recipe makes about, 21 muffins in the regular cupcake tin. If you want, you could bake it in the mini tin as well. My family really likes those mini little muffins just for something different. For the turbinado sugar, you could use as little or as much as you really wanted. Again, my family begs me to put more on usually. So after we get the turbinado sugar on, then we need to put these in the oven. We're gonna turn the oven down to 375 degrees. The reason we had it so high to begin with is that we are hoping for that big oven spring with a really hot oven. So we'll turn it down to 375. We're gonna bake these for 30 minutes, and when they come out, oh, they're gonna be so delicious. All right, it's been about that 30 minutes and it's time to get those sourdough einkorn blueberry muffins out of the oven. My goodness, those look and smell amazing. And there you have it, your sourdough einkorn blueberry muffins. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe for more from scratch recipes, and then check out my website at my-colorado-kitchen.com. The full recipe details will be there. And from my kitchen to yours, happy cooking!